Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Rule the Waves 3 with me, Papa Omega, in the Kaiserliche Marine. So the year is 1909, January, and it is time to look again at our Navy and its situation. This update is going to be, the Almanac update is going to be a little bit longer because there is a couple of topics I would like to talk about that I might not normally go into that much detail. So let's take this update as a big review of where we stand right now and what's going to happen with us in the upcoming years. So, first of all, the diplomatic situation as usual. We are currently at war with three nations, with Great Britain, Italy, and United States. This is a really unfortunate situation, but I'll be honest, I was expecting it to be much worse than it actually is. So far, we have managed to achieve many of our goals, and we are still managing to hold our own. I don't expect that this will be long-lasting because we are like one major encounter with the British Navy or the Royal Navy from a complete disaster, but still somehow we're managing to be kicking and living and sinking and fighting, and I'm kind of surprised by that. We'll see what the game brings to us, but as the balance of forces is so much against us, I would at this point, and I hope you guys wouldn't mind that, go even for a white piece. Just, wipe the slate clean and start from the beginning, because any conflict or every single month of this conflict is most likely going to bring us a further chance of an utmost disaster that could just pretty much end our current ambitions completely. Now, when you look at the war with the Russian Empire, we were extremely successful there, but the war with Italy, even if roughly the same length as the previous war, already cost us a number of ships. We lost 2 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser, and 2 light cruisers. Apart from that, 1 heavy cruiser is interned, so we cannot even use it, and we lost a number of submarines which hit a mine. The enemy of course lost way more. The Italians lost 2 battleships, 8 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 3 destroyers, and 1 corvette to us, and they lost a number of extra ships to the Austrian fleet. But for me, the biggest issue here is that every ship that we lose is more painful to me than the ships that the enemy loses. And, the fact that one of our battleships was pretty much just torpedoed, and that the heavy cruiser that we lost was also the newest one, the König von Preußen, and that the light cruisers were also, the newest one, is making this even more painful, because we're not really losing some aged mini cruisers, but we're losing the newest ships, and that is what hurts. Tonnage comparison, however, in the last year we managed to, despite the losses that you can see here, increase the tonnage of our navy by 3,200 tons to 283,300 tons. Italy, on the other hand, lost 41,000 tons, and they are now at 146,800 tons. You can again see the huge difference from where they were standing before, where they were like the 4th biggest navy in the world, and now they are pretty much the 3rd smallest, and if this conflict continues, they're going to drop below Austria-Hungary. So even for them, it's not a very good situation. Austria-Hungary is the second nation in the world that actually second and the only nation that lost some tonnage as well. They lost 12,000 tons, and the rest of the world actually increased their tonnage, which means that for the first year in quite some while, we actually have more tonnage than we did the year before. It's only by 12,600 tons, but this is mostly due to the casualties that were incurred by Italy and Austria-Hungary, because if they didn't have such high, 53,000 tons actually, then it would be a pretty nice jump. Actually, we would get most likely 53,000. Yeah, we would get to 2 million tons again for everyone. So here's the tonnage comparison by nation. You can see it always plummet down. They're dropping really fast. I actually wanted to mention I'm happy that Spain added 14,000 tons. I would like to check them when we get into the game if I don't forget. Because I would like to see what kind of ships they are currently building. Great Britain also started increasing their tonnage again. Pretty much everybody did. Here's the comparison of the tonnage combined. You can see the change in the curve again to an increase. We are thankfully increasing our share still, while Italy is losing and losing and losing. Unfortunately, Austria-Hungary lost a little bit as well, but not in any capacity as bad as their losses weren't in any capacity as bad as the Italian were. Now here's the relative comparison of the tonnage. You can see again that we keep the huge share of 14.54%. It oscillates plus or minus a couple of decimal places, but generally speaking, we are really kicking way above our weight at this point. I mean, we're the second biggest navy in the world still, which is kind of weird because we're basically fighting the entire world, or entire world that matters. Economy and budget. We had another increase yet again due to Great Britain joining into the war. Honestly, we need a little bit more than we got, but every little increase from the royal treasury is good. We're currently sitting at 245,840 Reichsmark per year, which is 20,487 Reichsmark per month, an increase of 7.56%. We lost a little bit of funds, 5.33%, but we still have 9,233 Reichsmark in reserve. Total expenses dropped by 12% to 18,262 Reichsmark, which is 89.14% of our total budget. Most of the costs still goes to construction and ship cost. You can see that they're both around 35%. We're raking in quite a lot of money, and I'm hoping that we can use it for greater good. Now here you can see the steep increase in budget. Again, I wonder how far we're gonna drop once the war ends. I really do expect something like 120,000 Reichsmark based on the previous experience, but we're gonna see. It will all depend on the situation, on the situation after the peace, or in other words, of what kind of peace we're going to be able to get. If we get white peace, 120,000 is really good. There is definitely a big boom in our economy that has been happening consistently for the past couple of years. But, it's nowhere near this amount of generosity, that could be maintained during peacetime. No, sir, it won't. Research-wise, we have gained an insane amount of levels, which is kind of funny because we have gained 1 in every single category with the exception of naval guns, and we have gained 2 in torpedo technology. This is actually something that I wanted to talk about a little bit later, but it's a good entrance. So let me just say that we have gained so many technology levels in this year that every single aspect of our shipbuilding and naval capacity and fighting and designs is currently already somewhere else than it was a year ago. And now to the fleet overview. So we have 7 battleships. We're not building any, and we won't be actually building any for quite some time, and I'm going to explain why. We have 1 battlecruiser, the new one, already finished, and we are still building the second one. We have 14 heavy cruisers with 1 in construction. We have 15 light cruisers with 1 in construction. We still have 10 destroyers. We have 8 corvettes, and we have 4 submarines, and we're building 14 more, which is just crazy, but it is what we are doing. Here is the naval composition. You can see the submarines, corvettes, destroyers, light cruisers, heavy cruisers, battle cruisers, and battleships. And this is the moment where I'm going to stop and talk for a while jumping from slide to slide, so I hope that I'm going to be making sense. If I'm not, please ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them. This is something that I've been thinking about for a couple of days. I actually took 3 or 4 days worth of break between recording the last episode and this one, because I really wanted to give it a deep thought and set myself on what we want to do. So, the Neue Lehre. After Plan Grau has been a dominant project for the Navy from the peacetime all the way to the war, Neue Lehre is actually a big shift in the strategy. Now, this is actually, and I'll be completely honest and transparent here, coming from me learning quite a lot about the game as I'm Let's Playing it. Now, I said that in the beginning of the Let's Play, I'm nowhere near a pro, but once you record, or actually you have to talk a bit more and, interact with people and, think about what you're saying, and you get into all of these different situations, you learn quite a lot. You learn quite a lot more than if you're just, playing it on your own. And I've grabbed a couple of very interesting ideas throughout the playthrough that crystallized in my mind, and they are, now manifesting in this Neue Lehre doctrine. So what is Neue Lehre? With the massive technological leaps that we have been doing in the past few years, we have pretty much obsoleted our entire navy. Even the ships that we are actually building right now, even the Königs are now obsolete. The only ships that I actually checked are pretty much really good are the Hansa light cruisers. Those could only be made a little bit faster, but because they are hitting the edge of what light cruiser mean, any major change to them actually reclassifies them as heavy cruisers, so we need to stick with what they are right now. But our heavy cruisers are completely obsolete, our battleships are all pre-Dreadnoughts, and we need to start actually building actual battleships. Our destroyers are completely obsolete, our corvettes are laughable, and our heavy cruisers have a lot to be changed on them. So what am I talking about? What's going to be the major leap? Well, we need to start building new ships, and the new ships that we will be building, I had a vote about this held on my community tab. It actually went for over 24 hours right now, and I'm looking at the results. There's 125 votes, and there were 3 options. I was asking, and this was also going to greatly shape the form of our new fleet, whether we want to build the core battleships or the Dreadnought battleships as either the Leviathans, which would be huge, massive 28,000 ton ships that would pretty much just hit the limit of what we are capable to construct as a nation, or whether we're going to go the completely opposite way with the option called the Swift Predators, which are much smaller, about 18 to 20,000 tons battleships. Turns out I actually played with the design a little bit, and they are battlecruisers. The game doesn't allow me to classify them as battleships because they are too fast. So battlecruisers, or if we're going to go with the balanced behemoths, which was the middle option. Now, to my happiness, actually, you guys hated the middle option. Only 20% of you voted for that one, and that is actually quite high. It started at like 10%. I understand the logic behind it. You don't like the, jack of all trades and master of none kind of concept, whether we go big and heavy or we're gonna go small and quick. And it was in the beginning really in favor of the Leviathans, which is a certain doctrine that would require accompanying ships, and then it tilted and tipped over to the Swift Predators in the very last moments. So 39% of you wanted the Leviathans, and in the end 41% of you wanted the Swift Predators. Now, why I'm talking about this in such a length is that if we build the Leviathans, we would, to a certain degree, keep the current set of the Navy, or current course of the Navy. We would just incorporate the changes that come from the doctrine, meaning we would have a core extremely heavy ship, which would be accompanied by a set of heavy cruisers, pretty much what we have been doing with the what I think it was the Baltic Fleet. So you have a heavy ship in the core, you have a heavy cruiser escorts, and then you have a light cruiser screens and support. But because you guys in the end wanted the Swift Predators, this changes quite a lot. Because the battle cruisers that we're going to design were capable of making them 25 or even 26 knots, which to a certain degree makes the heavy cruisers lack any kind of distinction, because this big speed and the relatively heavy guns compared to light cruisers was their domain. And now that we're going down with the Swift Predators, we're gonna make and build a number of these quick heavy ships, which will be not only working as a course of our fleets, but they are also going to be able to work as good raider encounters and basically counter raiders, and they will be fast and maneuverable, but still they will be heavily enough armored that they can work as the main ship of the line. Now, with light cruisers being what they are and destroyers being what they are, again, we need more destroyers and we're going to redesign those. There's a question what we're going to do with the heavy cruisers, and after some time I have decided that basically we need to keep them as escorts for the battle cruisers, but they're just going to be like a mini battle cruiser. We're going to go with the same logic, but we're going to make them much smaller, which wasn't their role up until now. We need to... I think that up until now I was using like a 4-inch armor, 4.5 inch. We need to go way higher on that. I think that 7 to 8 inches was going to be our new standard on the heavy cruisers. And they're going to be literal escorts to the battle cruiser, capable of shooting the same weapons, not shooting the same weapon, but filling the same role and working in the same capacity, I guess. Which means that there will be a lot of pressure on the heavy cruisers in regards to speed. They need to... Whatever we design as a battle cruiser, the heavy cruiser is going to be... The heavy cruiser is going to be able to, or has to be able to, keep up with the battle cruiser. Damn, that was a really hard way to say. So the logic here is going to be that heavy cruisers are basically going to be our battle cruisers, and our battle cruisers are going to be our battleships. We're basically downsizing, but we're going to be leveraging speed and armor and guns way more, and we're going to have to be more efficient. The light cruisers of the Hansa class are actually perfect for us right now. There's nothing that we can change with them. We're going to tweak them a little bit, but not much can be done with them. So we're going to keep the designs. As far as the battle cruisers and heavy cruisers go, though, there is something that I want to change, and that's a big shift in the Neue Lehre doctrine. Before I designed a ship, and I wanted to build at least a couple of that design, and I wanted to make it so that we have standardized ship. I'm completely abandoning this for this high tier of heavy cruisers and battle cruisers. We're going to keep that for the destroyers and light ships generally, but the battle cruisers are now going to be redesigned every single time we are building a new batch of ships. So I'm going to start with 2 battle cruisers. They're going to be finished, and once they are finished, we are going to design an upgraded version incorporating all of the new technology. I kind of didn't understand why the standardization wasn't greater, but I basically grew into this thought that why are we limiting ourselves? It doesn't really matter, because the rebuilds are going to be a mess, but we still have to deal with each of these ships individually anyway. So, let's just make sure that they are always at the height of their capacity and their ability, and we're just going to make that happen. Same thing is going to go for heavy cruisers. We're probably going to be building a battleship and 2 heavy cruisers at the same time. Once they finish, we're gonna redesign them and build another batch. I'm gonna try to keep the designs basically like a gradual improvement on them, going from one design to another seamlessly. But my idea is that by 1920s, we should basically see a huge, basically an evolution of the ship in the shape of the battlecruisers as they're gonna go. Now this is gonna cause a little bit of a problem with naming. I have to come up with a good way how to reflect this in the names, because we're basically not gonna be able to have a defining name for the class, so we'll need to sort of use some kind of similarities, having like, for example, Berlin, München, Frankfurt, and they're going to be their own independent classes. So for example, Berlin and, I don't know, Hanover are going to be of the Berlin class, then it's going to come Frankfurt, which is going to be Frankfurt, and, I don't know, Stuttgart and Munich, something like that. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a mess, but I think it's going to be really good. And last but not least, we're going to put a huge pressure on the submarines. The fact that they managed to sink us and make our life so miserable means that we really need to build more of them. So the 14 submarines that we're building is just the start. I would really like to get to something like 30 or 40 subs at the minimum. And we're gonna, eventually once we reach 40, I'm gonna start scrapping the oldest submarines and putting in new ones instead. So we're gonna have like a continuous, not recycling, but a life cycle of the submarines, making them better and better and better. So these are the tenets of the Neue Lehre. I hope that I explained them well. You're gonna see me design quite a lot of new ships in the upcoming episodes. We're gonna start with the Battlecruiser today, and we're gonna move on from there. So let's just go through our ships. I noted which ships were actually sank. Here you can see the Donau being lost at Forge, and our first ship of the Rhine class is coming. No, actually it came already this month, but order is coming in 7 months. So these are now our flagships. You can see that they are basically evolutionary next step of the Donau, but we're gonna cut the line here and we're gonna design a completely new, I'm gonna call it Berlin. Let's already say it's gonna be a Berlin class battlecruiser. So Königs that are gonna have to be redesigned completely as well. We're gonna skip through these old ships, and the Hansa class raider is actually, as I said, pretty much very efficient. There's not much we can do with it at this point that would make it better. It cannot host triple turrets. It cannot host 3 turrets. It cannot get higher armor. It's basically just set. It can get only faster, which again is fair game. So we're gonna do that, but I was kind of interested that that is a thing that we need to keep in mind. Here we lost the Danzig. We know about that one. Destroyers need to be redesigned completely as well. Bases on land fortification, there really isn't... oh, I actually forgot to mention that we have that Indian Ocean expansion done, so that one needs to be marked. No changes in coastal fortification, and the officer corps, we actually gained a couple of new officers. We now have 3 fleet admirals, which is good. We unfortunately have an incompetent officer back, but we have 1 Captain Sorza who is brilliant. And we had a huge decrease in unknowns this month, so it's pretty good, The average guys actually keep getting, or the average guy category seems to be growing. Below average is stable. Above average, unfortunately, is stable as well. So really, the average is just increasing, and we have a brilliant officer again. So this is the end of the report for January 1909. I'm gonna jump into the game now, and we are going to design the battlecruiser, and then look at. I guess we might want to look at the destroyer and the Königs as well. We'll see. This is gonna be a long episode, man. Well, but what can we do? Okay, here we are in the game. Every time I started, these three huge red bars are really bothering me, but not much we can do with them. Either way, because we have finished the Rhine class battlecruiser, and because we finished another ship which I believe was the second ship of the Hansa class, they're actually trying to move to the Mediterranean now because the blockade has been lifted. And because of the, Friedrich Wilhelm II, the last fourth ship of the König von Preußen, it's actually the fifth one, but one of them were sank, is gonna finish. We're gonna have quite a lot of extra money to play with. So I say we start with the design of the battlecruiser. So we have, or in the vote, you guys wanted me to design a Swift Predator. So we're gonna try to, and this is gonna be the defining thing, we're gonna try to start with a displacement of 18,000 tons and see what we can do with that. And then we're just gonna look at how big the ship is going to end up, with incorporating everything that we want from it. So let me just have the game. Okay, that's way too big. Way too big. Are you going to design me something smaller? Jesus Christ, so many guns now. So many guns. So this is not looking like it's gonna design us as smaller battlecruiser. Okay, let me actually do it this way. Let's start with the battlecruiser because that is actually what we want to do. Okay, and then actually already started being slightly better. 24,000, 25,000. 24,400. Can you make it? I don't think it's gonna play with it like this, but nope. Okay, so let's just find some design that would work well for us. Something symmetrical. Okay, something like this. This is actually pretty decent. No, actually, I don't like the center line. Okay, I think this could be designed well. Okay, so what are we going to do with this battlecruiser? And again, if this is not classified as a battlecruiser and will become a Dreadnought battleship, I'm going to be happy in the end. So, in the beginning, we need to delete the port wing and starboard wing turrets because we don't want those. And we definitely want an aft centerline superimposed turret. I'm going to change the position of it slightly to here. It has a turret arc like this, which is pretty good. So let's make it like that. And the caliber. So the game has offered us a caliber of 11 inches, which is way lower than we actually have. We could go all the way to 14, but we can see that with this we would have a range of 17,100 yards. With the caliber 12, we get to 19,000 yards and we get a penetration of 6.4 inches at this distance. At 10,000, we get 9.85 inches worth of penetration. If we go to the caliber of 14 that we actually got available, it increases the range almost slightly by 1,900 yards. But the penetration increased incredibly. We get 8.9 penetration at 20,000, which means that we can pretty much one-shot kill any light cruiser and any heavy cruiser that we manage to hit with our primaries. And at 10,000 yards, we can pretty much penetrate even a battleship. So this is what we need for our ship. This is what we need. Now I'm going to increase the guns on this secondary turret, and I'm thinking we will actually try to get... That's a question. I don't think we can get triple turrets here. That's not going to work in our favor because they're going to be super heavy. Okay, let's keep it like this. 3 of these turrets are enough. That's gonna be a big enough, volley that it's gonna make anyone, think twice about actually coming at us. Now, 26 knots is extremely high. That is really good. I was expecting 25 knots as a standard, but fine. We have coal to turbine. Oil plus turbine would be better, but unfortunately we don't have access to oil, so there's nothing we can do. Now, we need to think about the armor very carefully here. This is not gonna be fun. Okay, before I do anything else, I want to give you the secondaries of 8 inches, but we're gonna go with 8 of them. I'm gonna lower that because that's gonna save us a lot of weight, and we're gonna be focusing on the primaries. We're moving back to the casemated guns. The actually, these wouldn't weigh that much more. Okay, because it just gives them okay. So I thought that it actually that's an interesting thing that I never noticed. I thought that it actually means this is not the amount of turrets, this is amount of guns. So the weight is almost the same because we have just put them together. Now we would have a bit of more of an angle here, but yeah, I think we're gonna casemate them because we want to take advantage of the belt armor that we have here, which immediately means that I can go lower on the secondary guns armor. I'm gonna actually go to 3 inches, and the belt needs to increase to at least 12. Now this might seem a little bit excessive, but remember that this means that if we get closer to anything with 14-inch guns, then 13,000 yards we are going to be penetrated anyway. So that's just how it is. The belt extend is gonna go to 3. You are gonna go to 3. The deck is gonna go to 1.5. Actually no, we need to go down to 1 because you need to save that weight. Torpedo defense is at 2. Central firing needs to go to 3. We do have tertiary guns here. Okay, I'm gonna keep those for now. The conning tower, can we increase it to 12? We can. I could increase the turrets to 12 inches to be in line with the belt. Secondary guns. I'm gonna keep the turret top at 2.5. Okay, you have just 2 mounts and I don't want those, so let's clear those and instead give you an aft mount so that you can shoot at anyone trying to pursue us. Okay, medium range, accommodation scrapped. Okay, that's something that I missed. Okay, critic fire removed. There's no eligible turrets are fitted. Deck extend the armor cannot be thicker than. Okay, so I didn't even notice that we had. They're all okay. So 26 knots for a battlecruiser. That's actually extremely excessive, but I think it's gonna be fine. I'm actually gonna move you a little bit forward so that you don't look so bad. Now the issue is that we have 190 rounds per gun, so we're gonna lower you to 141. Okay, why not? And I need to actually give you guys more ammo because, oh my god, we're already hitting the limits here. Great. So this kind of battlecruiser would still have a displacement of 26,000 tons. It would cost us 95,529 rice mark. Okay, so can we actually save on something? Can we save on something? Could save 600 tons if we slowed it down, but actually this is the main thing. We want to have it fast. At 26, it's a little bit excessive, isn't it? I want to keep the turrets at 14 inches because we have always been outgunned, and now that the game has thrown us a bone, you can shoot at ranges where you will be most likely safe from pretty much any enemy fire. So this is pretty good. Armor thickness used 12. Yeah. I don't really want to lower the belt below 12 inches, but extended up a little. It's barely making any difference. So if we lower the amount of shells, 230. Okay, this is doing us no good. Well, it's lowered to 200. It's 300 tons. Okay, that would allow us to lower by by 5, okay, 25,000. Yes, I can't really help much. Turret top. If I lower the extended belt and upper belt, I'm seeing a little bit here. And the turret top like this. Okay, so 25,000 tons. Yep, as I said, this is nowhere near what I expected. I thought that it would be 7,000 tons smaller. But we really need these guns, and we really need the belt to be stronger. And this is not even, strong enough. I would expect 14, 15 inches, but we just can't do that. Already it's going to be super expensive, and it's like 5,000 tons more than I actually told you guys. But it is a swift predator. This ship can take down anything that we have seen so far. And again, this is the basic design. This is going to be the Berlin. So the subsequent iterations of it are going to be better and better and better. And who says it won't have a heavier belt in just a couple of months? So yeah, we're gonna do it, and I'm gonna increase. Oh, I can't. Okay, I literally cannot give you more shells. Okay, nope. You want this one to be the Berlin class. Okay, so we have a Berlin. Oh, okay. Should have I didn't auto-place you. Now I have. Yeah, there's no way we can put them more. But this is still fine. Quality 0. Wait. Yeah, we have to go with 8 inches. Huh, 7 would save us a lot of weight. It would be enough to make it smaller, significantly small, and significantly cheaper as well. And I need to save just a little bit of weight. Okay, conning tower is obviously not a way to go. What could we save on? Nope. Actually, yeah, let's do it like this. Okay, so I like this more. It's smaller by 1,000 tons. Because, the primaries are going to be what we're going to be using here. So these are the guns that we want to... I mean, one hit from that is going to be enough to take out most of our enemies. The secondaries are just going to be to keep, you know, the annoying destroyers away. And the tertiary guns are going to be just supporting that. If I wanted to increase our caliber, could, but... I think it might be better to go with 4 and 6. I can just lower... Yeah, okay, let's do it like this. So we increase the caliber of the secondaries. Actually, let me see. 4 inches. 10,000 yards. Penetration of 1.3 at 9,000. Yeah, okay, so 4 inches it is. Okay. So the final design looks like this: 24,000 tons, 88,802 Reichsmark cost, which is much better. Speed 26 knots, heavily armored, heavily, gunned. We have secondaries of 7 inches and tertiary guns of 4. So this is a big compromise. This is what we want, and this is what we want. The rest is meh, but we'll take it. So central firing, 3 positions, torpedo defense 2, so it should be able to take a hit or 2 from the torpedoes. They're not going to be as devastating as before, and that means we are happy. So are we happy? We are happy. 4,220 Reichsmark and take 4 months. Do it. Now, the second thing that we need to design here is an iteration of the König von Preußen. Because the König is old, is aged, and is definitely not what we want to have on our ship. So let us have the game design for us a new heavy cruiser. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good. I'd much rather have something different. Sure, this is not looking bad. It's just way too big. Just way too big. But it has 26 knots of speed, which is what we want, because we need you to be at the same level. Okay, hold on, I need... Okay, König von Preußen. Design something for me. Okay, this is even better than König von Bayern. 26 knots. Oh my god, what are you doing with these turrets? Okay, 26 knots. Belt is 6. Extended belt 4. Okay, we can go really low on the extended belt. Deck is gonna go to 1.5. Conning turrets. So if we have turrets of 7, then we need a belt of 7 as well. Turret up 2.5. Secondary guns 3.5. And once you casemate it. Now could I go with... Nope, that's gonna mean Battlecruiser. So whether I can just go with 8 inches here. Can I add a superimposed turret? No, but I could put a midship one. Which, okay, is a fair game if I increase the tonnage Or if I increase the turrets, actually, can I get 3, 3, and 3? I can. Okay, now we're starting to hit the limits. We're hitting the limits. Okay, so we have Corpus, Turbine, Medium, Normal. And how big do you have to be? 16,000 tons. That's, not totally unreasonable. Costs about 60,703 Reichsmark. Okay, again, definitely lower the protection of the secondaries because they're casemated. Yeah, and I can increase the belt to 8 inches. Which is what we wanted. Okay, that's amazing. Could I go down 500 tons to make it cheaper? Actually, it didn't make any difference. It did. But not one that would be, even something that we can see. Okay, and you actually have tertiary guns. Okay, good for you. This is crazy. It has main guns of 8 inches and secondaries of 7, and it has 12 of them. If I lowered you to... I have to lower you to 5. All the way to 5, but that saved us a huge amount of... Actually, an insane amount of weight. So now 5 and 4. How much more could I save 1,000 tons? No, I can, but I can save 500. And it's, making progress here. 5, that's fine. 264. Kinda sad that I can't really... That's weird. Why does that... There's a big jump here, and I don't know what makes the difference. But okay, we can go 15,200 tons. That's 57,000. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, 170 for you. 165, 165, 170. Okay, so this is gonna be our new ship, the armored cruiser König von Bayern. You get us all decked, right? Yes. 8-inch belt, very heavily armored. So this is a perfect escort for Berlin. So 1 Berlin and 2 Königs von Bayern are gonna be the core of our new fleet. I'm considering they're capable of 26 knots. That is honestly crazy. When we look at the British forces here, yeah, look at that. They have nothing. No, actually they do. Some of them are white because of Philomel. 10.5 inches, they're capable of 27 knots. But they're 3,600 tons, so these ones, while they're new, they are... and then they 27, 26 were as fast as their destroyers, some of them. Wolverine. 4 3-inch guns, 2 torpedo tubes. That's interesting. Interesting, and a lot of submarines. Okay, and now I'm gonna just do one thing, which is the last one, and I'm gonna show you what I meant with the Hansa. So Hansa, as you can see, has weight remaining of 360 tons, but if we increase the armor to 4 inches, it is immediately identified as a heavy cruiser, and we can do that. Can I go with... Nope. Okay, so it has to stay at 3 inches. I can... I mean, can I? Nope, we don't have an upper belt capability. I mean, I could armor conning tower if I wanted to. Yeah. But that's barely anything that I'd be interested in. I mean, we can add torpedo protection, which we will, and then we could theoretically make it faster, which is easy when you just add 500 tons. You added torpedo defense, this. I can't even change the caliber of the main guns because that also changes them to heavy cruisers. So pretty much we're just stuck with what we have. And we can add a torpedo protection, make it slightly bigger and slightly faster, and we are done. So Hansa can at this point stay as it is because we really cannot be bothered. It's not worth making. I mean, that 1 knot would be nice, but it is just not worth it. So we have designed that, and I'm thinking if we want to do anything more, do we want to redesign Hansa or do we not want to do that? Okay, so that's 68% difference. Yeah, okay, 80% change, but it's still classified as Hansa. Wait, no. Yeah, so what are we gonna call this one? We could call it. Can you suggest a name? München, Tatis, Lina, Bremen, Frauenlob. Let's go this one, Karlsruhe. So we're gonna go with the smaller cities design. Cool. So yeah, that's an updated Hansa class ship. Wait, do we have the central firing torpedo defense too? Yep. 1400 and take 2 months. Yep. And that's pretty much all the cash that we had. So we have 3 new designs. We have the Berlin, the König von Bayern, and the Karlsruhe design. So heavy cruiser, battlecruiser, and the light cruiser. That's going to be the core of our next fleet. So once they finish, we are going to have both of the 7 months. Okay, but because we're saving a lot of cash, I think we can start building 2 of the Berlin class battlecruisers immediately once we're gonna be done with the design, and we'll be able to fund it. I don't remember how much they cost, but still. Either way, 55 minutes looking at the clock, crazy amount of time. Thank you very much for joining me. No battle this time, we're still in January. But again, this is a major shift in our doctrine. I hope you enjoyed me talking about that. And in the next episode, we're just gonna, fight, because that's what we do best. Anyway, thank you very much. See you next time.